Hey, it's Jeff Salzenstein here, the founder of Tennis Evolution, and I see a lot of players struggling with their serves. In today's video, I want to help you. I want to help you with your tempo, your timing, your rhythm, how it relates to your stance. So why don't we just get into this lesson right now? I'll share with you what I'm seeing out there in the world of tennis. I'm seeing it in pro tennis. I'm seeing it in college tennis. I see it in club tennis and junior tennis. It is all around the world of tennis when it comes to the serve. And it's around tempo. And listen, the serve is complex. There's a lot of mystery out there, and there's a lot of players that have different rhythms and tempos that work. So I'm not saying this is the way to do it. I am saying that this could be a way to really help your timing on your serve. So what we're talking about today is we're going to focus first on the pinpoint stance and what I'm seeing out there. And we'll even relate it to the platform stance as well. So the pinpoint stance means that when you toss the ball, at some point after tossing the ball, you move your back foot up. And most players, I would say more than 50% of players, maybe 60 to 70% of players prefer the pinpoint stance. And that's great. There's a lot of great servers. I played Greg Rusedski and Mark Philippoussis back in the day. They served 140, over 140. 140 miles an hour, and they move their back foot. So it's great. John Isner moves his back foot. Alcaraz, a lot of players move their back foot, so that's fine, no big deal. I typically teach the platform first because I want people to learn how to load their back leg. That's another story. So what I see is players move their foot, okay, at different times. And the big problem that I'm seeing out there, and I was just working with a VIP client on this, is he's moving his foot too late in the motion. In other words, he's tossing the ball and then he's moving his back foot. And we see this, again, even on the pro tour, especially on the women's tour. For some reason, the tosses get really high. It happens on the men's tour as well. But tosses get really high, back foot moves, okay? Toss gets really high, back foot moves. So, what do we do to fix this? Well, first of all, why is it a problem? Well, when you toss the ball higher, back foot move, so if you toss it and then you move, the toss gets higher, that means the ball drops more. And the more the ball drops, the harder it is to time. So I see, when I do video analysis, I see the ball toss dropping 2, sometimes 3 full feet because of this issue, because the lower body and the upper body are not in sync. So the player tosses the ball, then they move their back foot, they load, and then they swing. Creates all sorts of timing issues. Now, I like a quicker motion. Oh, let me point out one more thing. I see players, we call it an early racket drop. I've done a video on this before. When you move this foot up late and you're waiting for the ball, the racket has to go somewhere. And I see players, when their knees are bent like this, the racket gets back into here. So the early racket drop means the racket is dropping before the legs are driving. So what you really want to do is you want to get into a power position right here. Knees are bent, and you actually want to start to unload your legs, and that makes the racket drop. So it's a lower body led movement. Lower body leads, upper body follows. A lot of players, because they toss it, then they move their foot, and now they're waiting for the ball. Now the racket drops before they started to straighten their legs. So now it's an upper body swing. You're using more arm. This creates more stress on the arm. The kinetic chain is not in sync, and it's all because of this tempo at the beginning. So what do we want to work on here? We want to work on, instead of tossing and then moving the back leg, what we focus on is moving the leg earlier. So now I want you to picture Roscoe Tanner, one of the best servers of all time, fellow Stanford guy. Bob Bryan, fellow Stanford guy, one of the best doubles players of all time with his brother Mike, buddies of mine. Appreciate all they do for the sport. Goran Ivanisevic, moving this foot quick. And now Nick Kyrgios, probably, if not the best serve in the world, for sure top 5. But definitely, I mean, one of the best serves in the world, right? When they release the ball right here, this foot is already moving up and they're already loading. See how I'm bending my knees as I get into my trophy position. So now what happens is I'm moving my legs and I'm tossing the ball. I'm moving my back leg as I'm tossing the ball. Instead of this, see that delay right there? I'm actually moving my back leg as I toss the ball. So it's a quicker tempo. Now you can hit the ball at its peak like Kyrgios or Bob Bryan, or you can let the ball drop a little bit. You don't have to get it at its peak, and it doesn't have to be super rushed. The whole key though is to move the back foot as you're releasing the ball. That's how you're going to fix the early racket drop. Now you have to play with the different tempo that works for you. Some people are going to be faster, some are going to be slower. But if you have this issue of bringing the foot up, if you have this issue of tossing, bringing the foot up, and then opening the racket face or going early, that's what we want to change. And I'm giving you a simple solution. Get this foot to move sooner and get your toss lower. And so then everything's going to move with more momentum. You're not going to get hung up waiting for the ball. I'm waiting for the ball. I'm waiting for the ball. You won't get hung up because you're moving through the motion quicker. So I hope that makes sense. Feel free to leave a comment or question down below around this concept. The big concept is to get into your load with your racket even down here, right? You don't want to have your racket already here. You don't want your racket here when you bend. You want to be bending and loading, bringing your back foot up with the racket still in this position. Now the platform stance, it works in a similar way. If you don't move your back foot, you want to make sure that you start to bend, like Roger Federer, bend into your lower legs. Load your lower legs as you're releasing the ball so that you can go up after it. If you toss the ball first, then bend, you might be dropping the racket early, losing power, losing timing and rhythm. And that's what I see over and over again with video analysis. How far the ball drops, okay? How far that ball drops. And issues with the racket and the elbow and the upper body, okay? I hope you enjoyed this video today. Give us a thumbs up and a like. Let us know what you thought of this video. If you are struggling with your serve, we got tips. We got ways to help you, free lessons. Click somewhere in this video or somewhere down below. We're going to help you with that. And I look forward to seeing you at the next lesson.